No, because you know what the scariest part of this movie was? Got me again. What's up everyone, welcome back to another one of my movie reviews. Today we are talking about Netflix's new movie, Leave the World Behind, which is adapted from the book of the same title. And fun fact, this movie was produced by the Obamas, and they were able to give their input on how to make things a little more realistic, so do what you will with that information. And before we get into the review, this is your official spoiler warning, as I will be talking about details and the ending, so make sure you watch the movie and then come back to this. Also, if you're new here, I make reviews and reactions to TV shows and movies, so make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. And with that said, let's jump into the review. I do want to start off with the positives because there were a lot of good things about the movie. What particularly stands out are the visuals and the music. The movie looked really great, especially in terms of color. Blues really popped in the movie as that color followed the characters throughout the whole movie. And it's contrasted by bright reds, as that is supposed to represent imminent danger. And the cinematography was also wild. The camera essentially became its own character. There was a bunch of wide shots and zoom ins and pans and rotations and Dutch angles. I was like, okay, go off camera person. There's also good use of unsettling imagery in the movie, particularly with animals. There was also that scene with the teenage boy losing his teeth. That was really gross and made me really uncomfortable to watch. The editing style was also quite stylish, especially when the title cards of each chapter would pop in and would cut between characters really fast to create even more tension, and I thought that was a good use of editing. I think what made the suspense really work in this movie was the music and the sound effects. Honestly, it could have just been a black screen and I could just hear the music, and that alone was stressing me the heck out. The music would just not stop and it was just constant tension. And sometimes it wasn't really warranted, like, do we really need music during this scene where they're just literally talking? And then the use of sound effects was also really well done, like pulling out teeth or running through the woods or the high-pitched ringing. That was, I felt like I was in the scene with them because I was not trying to listen to that. The acting was also another positive of this movie. I mean, we had Julia Roberts, Ethan Hawke, Mahershala Ali, and I especially loved Ethan Hawke and Julia Roberts' dynamic, where Julia Roberts was just this really uptight, stressed out mother, and Ethan Hawke was just like so chill and he just wanted to have a nice vacation. Also, I love the actress who played Ruth. She was the Gen Z rep. She was so shady. She was such a baddie. And she was cracking me up the whole time. I know you're not supposed to like her, but she was just so funny to me. She kept on stirring the pot and just kept annoying the heck out of Julia Roberts. Ruth kind of reminded me of Sydney Sweeney in White Lotus, where they just did not care about the adults whatsoever, and they just kept on saying these really passive aggressive things that would just get on your nerves. Ooh, it was so funny. So I think that was another one of the positives, where there was actually good comedy in this movie so that I could take a break from all of the tension that I was feeling. Also, Julia Roberts and Ethan Hawke, I don't remember the character's name, I'll be honest. It was interesting that they both had backgrounds in media. That's their career. And the whole point of the movie was like, what happens if technology just doesn't work anymore? And so then their skills that they've learned throughout their whole life just became suddenly useless, and they didn't know what to do in these situations. I also really like the fact that things just kept on escalating and kept on getting worse and worse. It started off with just any old blackout. Then it comes out that there are hackers. Then we see planes crashing, and then we realize these people are just completely stranded. And then of course at the end we see literally the city getting bombed. Okay, now let's get into kind of the bad side of things. This movie tried to lump way too many themes into this movie. So it tried to cover race, class, technology, humanity, terrorism and war, environment, spirituality. I mean, it was just too much. They didn't really hone in on any of them except for maybe the technology theme. Especially, for example, they tried to touch a little bit on the race theme, and I just don't think they did a very good job. And I'll just leave it at that.
Race?
The terrorism aspect of it was also making me really uncomfortable, considering what's going on in the real world right now. Then there was the whole spirituality aspect of it, where it was taking signs from the universe, listening to animals as omens of what's to come. And I guess I kind of did like how they try to explore how humanity would just devolve if the apocalypse were to come, where there's some people that would be nihilistic, and how some people would turn their backs on others completely and only fend for themselves. There was also a bit of optimism in the movie where when it comes down to it, people will help each other. But yeah, I think they just tried to tackle too many themes all at once. They just should have just full sent it into the whole technology theme, because it was really interesting to see a movie ask the question, what would the world look like if all technology just stopped working? It would mean a lot of failures, as we saw. No one knows how to do anything without a smartphone these days, including navigation and communication. How do we get to hospitals? How do we treat the sick people? I also thought the scenes with the airplanes crashing and the Teslas crashing, those were really good scenes. Also, I just really did not care for the little girl, but I guess it was interesting how she kind of answered what is the point of media, which is escapism, right? We as a society kind of consume media to avoid facing reality and what's happening, and that's kind of what the little girl ended up doing at the end. She was so unbothered by everything, honestly. Okay, now let's talk about the ugly, which is the ending. You know how I said the positive was that it kept going with the suspense and it just never let up? Well, yeah, that would only work if there was a payoff. So the whole movie was basically rising action, and then when it gets to the end, there's no climax. It just flatlines. And that was just really, really disappointing, because why have your audience in a chokehold of suspense and tension, and then it just ends with this little girl watching Friends? Also, a little fun fact, when she was looking through all of the tape collections, and the first thing that came up was Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which, first of all, love. Second of all, Buffy the Vampire Slayer deals with how each season the characters have to fight off the big bad and deal with the apocalypse coming. So I thought that was a kind of neat trivia. But anyway, going back to the whole ending part. Y'all know the concept of Chekhov's gun, where if you show a gun, you know it's gonna go off some point of the movie. Yeah, that concept really sums up this movie for me. In the very beginning, we saw that Mahershala Ali had a gun, so we knew, oh, something's probably gonna go down with the gun by the end. It's gonna go off, it's gonna accidentally kill someone, right? But no, it never went off. There's only a scene when they were going to shoot each other, but nothing actually happened. We keep on waiting for this tension to be relieved, for the gun to go off, and it just never does. And because of this ridiculously flat, anticlimactic ending, it ruins the positives for me. I can't justify why it was so long the whole time. I can't justify why there was so much tension and music and build up the whole time, because now knowing the ending, all of it just felt pointless. If we had this ending, we could have just ended at 1:30, honestly. Now, I think the creators thought this ending would be more artistic and more ambiguous, or they thought it was super intellectual and it would get people thinking about what happened. But I think overwhelmingly the majority of people are just really upset by this ending. I think if you wanted to leave off with an ambiguous ending, you could maybe pull off like a 10 Cloverfield Lane or something like that. But yeah, the ending was truly what killed this movie for me. They did not stick the landing at all. It kind of felt like I wasted my time. So if I were to give this movie a rating, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. Again, there were good elements of the movie, including the visuals and the sound effects. I can't take that away from it. But the ending just felt like such a big slap in the face that, yeah, I can't justify giving it any higher than that. But what did you guys think about this movie? Did you watch this movie? Were you also disappointed by the ending? Let me know down in the comments below. And make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on my future reviews. And as always, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out, everyone.